Good morning, class. How are you doing? And how is everything? This morning, we are coming to talk about anatomy and physiology. As you have learned in your SS, biology, integrated science, you have come across some systems that you delve on with. The anatomy and physiology that we have in the nursing faculty, it is to help you to be able to apply your nursing knowledge in the clinical field. So today we'll look at the definition of anatomy and physiology, and also look at the terms that we use in anatomy and physiology, look at the human complexity, then we'll look at the anatomical position. The term anatomy is defined or is derived from the Greek word meaning to cut up, and physiology also comes from the Greek word the study of nature. So when we say anatomy, human anatomy is a dynamic science that involves the study of the human structure or the human parts and how they are related to each other. Human physiology is also defined as, or is a dynamic science that deals with the study of human function. In most cases, the two disciplines are jointly studied, and this can be attributed to the fact that functions always reflect on structure and the vice versa. What the body or the body part can do depends on the specific form, and that specific form is the structure that we are talking about. So in simple terms, anatomy is a scientific study of the structure of the human body, whilst physiology is the study of the functions of the human body. Now that we get understanding of the definition of anatomy and physiology, let's now look at what are the branches of anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is a broad term that can be divided into various branches. So when we are studying anatomy at the higher levels of study, it could be done in many ways. So principally, we have the two main categories where we normally use the naked eyes to differentiate those branches, where we always say we have the gross anatomy or the microscopic anatomy, and we have the microscopic anatomy. The gross anatomy or the microscopic anatomy, it deals with structures that can be seen with a naked eyes without the assistance of a microscope. Again, the microscopic anatomy deals with larger structures, that is with structures that you can see with the naked eyes, while the microscopic structures deal with smaller structures that cannot be seen with the naked eyes but with the aid of a microscope. And these are the two main types that we can categorize based on the use of the human eye or the sight, the sense of sight. So the gross anatomy and the microscopic anatomy. We call it the MA and the MI. Then furthermore, we also have an anatomy that we call developmental anatomy. Developmental anatomy. Developmental anatomy basically is based on the study of the developmental stages in the human life. So from the embryo to the adulthood. So when you are in your mother's uterus, as being formed as the embryo, you are developing from one stage to the other. The study of that development from that one stage to the other is what we call the developmental anatomy. whilst we have regional anatomy. We can just compare this regional anatomy to the regions in our country, as we have 16 regions. So in the human body, the body has also been structured in a way that they are in regions. So therefore, when we study the structures of all structures of one part of the human body is what we call regional anatomy. For example, when you are studying the structures that are made of the neck, the head, the chest, the abdomen, and the hands, that tells you that you are studying human anatomy, because all these parts are composed of different structures. And when we come to deal with it, you get to know better of as we move from one stage to the other. Then we have systemic anatomy. Systemic anatomy, it is being studied by organ systems. So when it comes to the human complexity, how the human being has been arranged, we'll have a part that we said is the system level. That means the human being is divided into systems, and those systems is about 11 in number. So when we study structures based on the organ system, then we will say that we are studying systemic anatomy. For example, when you are studying the digestive system, you are studying the respiratory system, the endocrine system, and all those systems, we say that is systemic anatomy. Now that we are able to look at the branches of anatomy in this direction, in physiology too, we also have branches. It's not only in anatomy that we have branches, but in physiology, we also have branches. So what are the branches of the physiology that we are talking about? We have cellular physiology, we have immunology, and we have system physiology. So you bear with me, when we talk about cellular physiology, we are just talking about cells. And in our SS level, we are able to deal with the cells when we're studying integrated science, as well as the biology, those who did science, who has science background. And when we say science, cells are the basic unit or the functional unit of life. So cellular physiology is just a branch of cytology that studies cellular function, or is a scientific study of the functions of cells. When I mention cytology, you may be confused. Cytology is just the study of the structures of the cells. Immunology, that one, the body is composed of some defense mechanism, the immune system, that fight, that defend us against disease organisms. So when we are studying functions that deal with the defense mechanism, we say this immunology. Then the system physiology is also when we are studying how the body organs functions. The various organ system, how it functions. For example, the digestive system, how does it function? The respiratory system, how does it function? So when we do that, then we say that you are studying system physiology. So in the human body, we can have renal physiology, reproductive physiology, neurophysiology, and other types of physiology. So specifically, if you are studying nervous system and only the functions that you are studying, that means it is what we call system physiology. Then, now that we have understood the definition of anatomy and physiology and the branches of anatomy and physiology, let's look at how does the body organize? What is the complexity of the body system? The levels of organization. We have different levels of structures, including their functions, and each level, as you see in the body, contributes the total organism of the human being. As I am standing here like this, I didn't just come out from anywhere to be whom I am. I started from some portion, maybe a lowest portion, to a full organism like me. So those stages, that complexity, that levels, that make a full human being is what we call the body organization. And in the human being, we are really made up of what? 5 levels. 5 levels. And it is being arranged either from the lowest or from the highest. So we have what we call the chemical level, we have the cellular level, we have 6 levels rather. And the 6 levels that we have the chemical level, cellular level, tissue level, organ system level, and the organizational organism level. So we'll look at when we talk about the chemical level. The human being is made of atoms, and that is the smallest substances. And these atoms are the carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. And mostly these atoms will come together to form what we call the molecules. And these molecules are the oxygen and the water. So the smallest unit within the body, the atoms will combine to form what? The molecules. And the molecules in turn will also combine to form what we call the cell. This implies that the human being at the most basic level is chemical in nature. And that is the first level of the human being. We are made out of what? Chemicals. And that's the atom and molecules. So when the molecules then combine, it then moves to the cellular level. And that is the cells. And the molecules that will form that basic structure that can function. And that basic structure or functional unit of life is what we call the cell. So simply, that's why we say the cell is the structural and functional unit of human life. The human being is a multicellular organisms, and it plays a lot of functions. There are vital functions that are being carried out in each of these cells, and the cells are made up of different types performing different functions. And these functions can reflect the metabolic activities that occur in all of us. And what are those metabolic activities? And these metabolic activities will lead to the following life processes. For example, growth, increment in size of the cells as it forms. Reproduction, the cell will divide and produce daughter cells to become whom we are. The cells also facilitate the repair of worn out tissues. That is replacement of destroyed part of cells. Irritability, cells that have the ability to sense changes from the environment and they respond it with a stimuli. The excretion, removal of waste substances we eat, and their accumulation of waste substances that can lead to various disease conditions, but through the cells it is being removed from our system. Respiration is through cells that we're able to breathe in and out. So when we also these cells that are the smallest unit or the functional unit, cells they need to also combine together to form the next level. And that next level is the tissue level. So we are saying that tissues are layers or group of similar cells that perform specific functions. And the human being or the human body is composed principally of 4 main types of tissues. And these tissues are the epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscle tissues, and the nervous tissues. And we will deal with them deeply when we come to tissue as a topic in this our semester course. Then the tissues that we have discussed, that is the 3rd level, they will also come together, combine to form what we call the organs. So organs is an aggregation or group of 2 or more tissues to perform some particular functions. And they have defined anatomical borders when we talk about organs, because it's the organs that will come together to form a specific system in us. So, for example, in our human body, what are the organs? We have the heart. We have the heart. We have the spleen. We have the pancreas. We have the ovaries. We have the skin, and we have the stomach.